Hello and welcome back to Continental Club, where we discuss the hottest topics in European football. And it's a busy, busy day. We're filming this on Thursday morning. Newcastle's takeover from the Saudi investment fund is about to go through. Spain are into the UEFA Nations League final. It's all kicking off. Henry, how are you? You making sense of the madness that is today's football news?
Yeah, it is a bit nuts. I've just watched the Spain-Italy highlights, which look like an absolute thriller. Jeremy Pino, by the way. Who's this guy? Out of nowhere from Villarreal, 18-year-old. I'm loving Luis Enrique's sort of the pushing of young talent that he's got coming through. Gavi as well, sort of handed a senior role almost straight away in that Spanish side. They look like a brilliant force. But yeah, the Newcastle, I mean, I'm not surprised by this point. Football's a funny old world, isn't it? And I'm not surprised at all that they've basically relented and have agreed to this new move. But apparently 93% of Newcastle fans approve of it. So maybe have to look at it from their perspective. But yeah, not a shocker, really.
Yeah, I mean, it says a lot about Mike Ashley's popularity that the Saudi Arabian state is more popular than him. But it is a bit of a dark day for football. But it's not the first club, to be fair. You know, there's been other clubs. I'm not just having a go at them because it's Newcastle, but it is a bit of a joke of a situation, to be totally honest. McCubs, what do you make of the Newcastle situation?
Yeah, I mean, I can't lie. I haven't looked into like the details of too much of what's happened in the last 24 hours, but yeah, in terms of the way that it was blocked initially, clearly it was on the kind of formality, on the kind of TV dispute between beIN Sports and Saudi Arabia, wasn't it, rather than anything about human rights or whatnot. But yeah, I think with any of these things, you can't lay the blame on fans for wanting, money to take over. You can't really lay the blame in that section, because ultimately it's, fans have to pay the price for all of these things. Yeah, but I think that questions do need to be asked in terms of the Premier League and the way that they what their rules about ownership and things like that. This is nothing new. It's not, like Henrik was saying, it's not a surprise. I'd have been more surprised if the Premier League had blocked it on any kind of moral grounds. But that is where the Premier League is at this moment in time. Equally wasn't surprised that all the big clubs didn't really get any punishment for the Super League and things like that. So, I'm very much past the point of expecting or even hoping for the Premier League to take much of a moral stand on things like that. I think in terms of like Newcastle fans, I think you have to be kind of happy in some ways that at least they're not going to have their stadium is not going to be just an advert for Sports Direct anymore. That's the one. That's the one silver lining in all of this, and I do expect Newcastle to become a much, much better run football club as a result. I think that's one thing we can expect.
Yeah, there's a lot to do. I think their training ground, I was speaking to one of my friends who's a Newcastle fan, he says it's a sort of League One standard. The stadium's not in the greatest shape as well. So lots of work to do behind the scenes, hopefully in the local area for Newcastle as well. But yeah, it's just a further sign that football's moral compass got skewed quite a while ago. But anyway, let's get into today's show, because today we are talking about the players your club should have signed. So obviously we're in a few weeks, maybe even a couple of months now into the season, and the majority of teams' weaknesses and strengths are now slightly easier to assess. So on today's Continental Club, we wanted to talk about two clubs that are particularly struggling at the start of the season and look at maybe some moves that they could have done in the transfer window that would have helped them. And then we're going to go on to some players that are excelling at the start of this season and see which club would suit them best as well. So McCubs, we're going to kick off with Juventus. It's probably the big story in European football right now. Their troubles at the early part of this season, although a slight pickup recently.
Yeah, there has been a pickup recently. What have they won their last 5 games in all competitions? I think they've played pretty well in all of those games as well. Really impressive victory over Chelsea, I thought. Defensively very sound. Obviously great goal. Kind of link up between Bernardeschi and Chiesa as well in front of the home fans. So I feel like Juve are moving in the right direction. Obviously they failed to win any of their opening 4 league games. They were in the relegation zone. That must be the worst start to a Juve season in God knows how many years. But they recovered from being 2-1 down against Spezia to win 3-2. They then beat Sampdoria by the same margin. Torino, again by 1 goal margin. But all of those games They were very much the better side. They're now 7th, 10 points behind Napoli, but they are level with Lazio and Atalanta, who by all means haven't had terrible starts to the campaign. They're only 4 points off 4th place now. So while I think I was sticking my neck out a bit by saying they're still contenders for the title a few weeks ago, I still back them to get into the Champions League places. Nevertheless, they yet to beat like a big rival in the league. Obviously lost to Napoli, who are flying high, and they've got Roma, Inter and Sassuolo in their next 3 games. So I think that will really tell us what kind of team we're going to be seeing from Juventus kind of in the coming months. But yeah, they're just not particularly amazing at either end of the pitch, at least compared to the other teams around them. They're ranking 7th for shots, they're ranking 8th for shots against. So yeah, very much kind of Europa League / mid-table kind of numbers from them defensively and in attack. They haven't got, that striker. Obviously, Ronaldo left. They haven't got that striker who, is guaranteeing them 20 plus goals a season. Dybala, Locatelli and Dybala all have, Morata, Locatelli and Dybala all have 2 goals apiece so far. Only Dybala has provided more than 1 assist. Only Morata and Dybala are taking over 2 shots a game. Chiesa's the only one creating more than 2 chances a game. Which is, I don't think that's too much cause for concern at this moment in time. If I'm honest, I feel like I think something like they've had 8 different goal scorers across the squad, so at least the goals are being spread around. Locatelli has already shown himself to be a goal threat as well, which is good. And I feel like his signing has, at least in the short term, fixed some of their midfield problems. But nevertheless, losing Ronaldo was always going to have an effect, wasn't it? And although they've been wanting to shift him for some time due to his wages and whatnot and their financial situation, I think losing him at that moment was not necessarily in their plans. Nevertheless, they also got Moise Kean, didn't they? So I think, I don't know. I feel like their striker situation and their forward situation, I think they can deal with it. Nevertheless, a player like Tammy Abraham, who's obviously had a really good start to life at Roma, would have been like a great option if money had been no issue. 40 million euros. Obviously, he's a great age. He's really hungry. 21 league goals over the last 2 seasons. Average of 1 every 155 minutes in the Premier League. That's no mean feat for a striker of his age. And yeah, he's had a pretty good start under Jose Mourinho, hasn't he? So I think in terms of like a centre forward, if they really wanted to go for someone and reinvest that Ronaldo money, he would have been a pretty good option. Nevertheless, they also got some quite good deals in for young attackers. Mohamed Atatürk, who's gone to Samp on loan. Caio Jorge from Santos. I think they both cost under 2 million euros each. So hopefully we'll see some stuff in the future from them. But I think their big problem, and one that we've been talking about for a long time now, is that left side, isn't it? I think that it was partly fixed last year because Chiesa ended up playing so many minutes there. But we haven't really seen too much of Chiesa on the left this season. It's been mainly Adrien Rabiot when they've been playing a 4-4-2 at least, who's been playing on the left. De Sciglio's even had minutes at left back. Luca Pellegrini, obviously, came back from loan this summer, but he's made just 1 appearance. I'm not sure that Max Allegri fully trusts him. He hasn't really played for Juve at all, has he, since he came there in 2019. Cost 19 million. Obviously, what's his name, Spinazzola went to the other direction to Roma, and that's the kind of deal which I think a lot of Juve fans will be looking back on with the regret. Nevertheless, I mean, Pellegrini's still only 22 years old, but so far it doesn't look like he's gonna get a consistent run out in the side. And last season I suggested Jose Gaia as a potential pickup for them. His contract's up in 2023. He had an excellent season for Valencia last term. In what was a very difficult campaign, got 7 assists from left back. Obviously, he's club captain as well. So I think he would have been a great option for them this summer. I don't reckon they would have had to pay too much for him. Although whether Gaia would have made the jump, I know he's a pretty loyal guy, and I think Valencia also. I think he was kind of the one star player that they were always quite keen on keeping. So maybe it would have been a bit more difficult than we made out, but nevertheless, definitely would have been worth inquiring about him. Owen Wijndal as well at RZ Alkmaar. Only 21 years of age, had another really good season last term, 6 assists, 1 goal from left back. I think he would have been a really good shout again. His contract's up in 2023. So probably could have got him at a decent price. I imagine he probably will leave the club next year if even a half decent offer comes in. So I think those would have been 2 really good options for left back, even just as cover, because we know Alexandro just isn't at the level that he was 2 or 3 years ago. I think they've been needing to upgrade it there for a while. Like right back as well, they will need to, but Juan Cuadrado still does it, doesn't he, at his age? But right back will need to be addressed as well. I mean, even the centre-back positions will need to be addressed, but at the moment they're holding up there, I think. But I think left-back and that left side in general, I think having a dynamic left-back will really transform them down that side, especially if Chiesa's not playing there. So yeah, I think that's where they really needed to invest. Rafael Guerreiro as well, another left-back who we always talk about. Like, he's so ready for the step-up, isn't he, from Dortmund? He's easily one of the best left-backs in Europe. Again, money might have been an issue. He's not the youngest either. Robin Gersons even from Atalanta, more of a wing back. So yeah, there were plenty of options on the market this summer, or at least players they could have inquired about, but it just seemed like they didn't really make a huge effort to. But yeah, I think come January even or next summer, I think left back has to be the first position they go for.
Yeah, I remember at the start of last year when Alexandre was out, they played for Botta there, and then he's subsequently been loaned or sold this summer. I can't remember which one. They let Christian Romero go to Atalanta on loan, and then sold him to Atalanta, who then sold him on to Spurs. That could prove to be a bit of a mistake, but this is what you've got to do when you've invested over 100 million euros and monster wages in a 33-year-old. Did they sign him when he was 33? Something like that, yeah. 33 or 34 in Cristiano Ronaldo. But I like the shout of Tammy Abraham. He's been looking excellent under Jose, as you say. Full of motivation, really. Exceptionally quick as well, which I hadn't quite realised. And his finishing has always been really pretty good as well. And he looks like he's going to have a massive, couple of years at Roma. And then who knows, maybe bought back by Chelsea. We shall see. Henry, let's move over to Spain and talk about Barcelona, because it has been even worse than Juve, I would argue, particularly given the fact they've been thrashed twice in the Champions League as well.
Yeah, I've just been in Barcelona the last 5 days, getting in a few bit of summer sunshine before the English winter.
Did you see some Spaniards with pitchforks heading down to the Camp Nou?
No, actually, while I was there, Espanyol beat Real Madrid. So there was a bit of a celebration when that happened. I quite fancied going to watch that. That'd have been great. But yeah, I mean, there was a fair bit of like Lionel Messi. There's still posters of him absolutely everywhere. Still street shops selling his shirt. But there's a lot of graffiti over his name as well, his face as well, which is quite a sad sight to see. But hey, I feel
sorry for those street sellers that have just got like too many Messi shirts, and now they're going to really struggle to shift them.
Yeah, they've got a serious backlog, don't they? But it was interesting. I was in the sort of Barcelona shop in the airport on the way back, talking to the guy there, and he just the shopkeeper just said, we're just entering a bit of a dark period. He said AC Milan had a dark period, a lot of Manchester United had a dark period. We're now about to enter our dark period, and it's okay, we'll come through it. So there's still optimism.
Fair enough.
And you know what, like in the league, they're still they've got a game in hand on Real Madrid, and they're only 5 points behind. So I don't think it's panic stations in the league, but as you say, in the Champions League, wow, it's been a real kind of a disaster. I mean, losing to Bayern Munich 3-0 is no shame. I think what was more depressing was the fact that they almost set up to lose. They almost accepted it. They viewed not losing by a greater margin as a victory in itself. Going to Benfica, however, and not registering a shot on target is a criminal act, I think. And to lose 3-0 there, really shocking. I mean, it's obviously so toxic between Koeman and Laporta at the moment. We've been talking about that recently. He has been trying to push La Masia, get those players back in, sort of Nico Gonzalez, etc. But I read one report which it said it looked like it was a Barcelona schoolboy team at the end of one of the matches recently. They had so many sort of 18-year-olds playing on the pitch at one time. But hey, you need to give these guys chances to bed in. Like, Nico Gonzalez, he's had a tricky few games at the moment. You're seeing him trying to get Felipe Coutinho involved in the squad, trying to get a bit of productivity out of him, but only like one shot against Atletico Madrid. And really, like, a goal scorer seems to be what they're missing at the moment. They rank 8th for shots in La Liga, but only Memphis Depay, who's having a great pickup. One of the best transfers of the summer, certainly for them. He's one of the only players that have got sort of more than 2 goals at the moment. But even against Atletico Madrid in their most recent defeat, I think he had maybe 1 shot on target before he was pulled. Bear in mind, Barcelona had 71% of possession in that game, so they're sort of, the Barca DNA is there, but it's just not. You can see like flickers of it, but it's just really not sort of translating. That certainly in the final third. Luuk De Jong as well. Obviously, I don't want to rail on Luuk De Jong too hard. It's difficult. Like, I don't know what else we're really expecting from him. I actually think losing Martin Braithwaite to injury has been a real kick in the teeth to Barcelona.
He started the season quite well, yeah.
He did, and I think he was for Denmark this summer. It's been easy to sort of pick on him at moments, but I actually think compared certainly to Luuk De Jong, Braithwaite would have been. To have him around would have been so important at the moment. If we look at maybe some of the players they could have signed this summer, I mean, the thing about Luuk De Jong, it was a loan, and his wages are likely to be very short, certainly compared to someone like Alexandre Lacazette. Yeah, he only had a year remaining on his contract, but what's he on? Like 180, 190k at the moment. But still, he is a serious goal scorer. He's a year younger than De Jong. He scored at least 10 league goals for in the last 8 seasons, 4 of which have been with Arsenal. I think he's sort of criminally underrated forward, although a lot of people might disagree with that as well. I'm surprised they didn't look at someone like Belotti too. I mean, 1 year left on his deal there. I mean, there's even talks he might go to someone like Fiorentina, might not get the step up from Torino. He's maybe expecting. Andre Kramaric as well, another player with 1 year remaining. These are the kind of guys that they need to be looking forward to. I mean, it's so hard to know exactly what's going on at Barcelona. There was that sort of talk of €50 million bid for Dani Olmo, which was knocking around. I'm not necessarily sure at the moment whether or not he's the guy that they need to be looking at. I also think they could have really got another sort of centre-half through the door. Eric Garcia, I don't think is good enough at the moment to step in, certainly when Piqué and Ronald Araujo aren't fit, or if they go to a 5 at the back there. Obviously, Oscar Mingueza can drop into the sort of defence at the moment, play there. But I mean, looking ahead, players like Tony Rudiger, if they could go for him there, if they could free up some money when next summer, Tony Rudiger would be an amazing addition. But I also think Alessio Romagnoli from AC Milan, he's another player with a contract expiring in 2022. He's obviously not happy at AC Milan since he's lost his place in the starting 11 to Fikayo Tomori. I feel like Romagnoli was huge for Milan during the sort of so dark period as they sort of rose back again a little bit. He club captain, really good sort of concentration, aerial duel win rate, and etc. and stuff like that. And I think that's kind of what they need, sort of a real leader at the back who understands. He's only 26 at the moment. Apparently they did try and engineer some kind of swap deal with Coutinho this summer, and they have been looking at him quite heavily, but it hasn't paid off so far. These are the kind of players I think that just sort of seize. I don't think they can afford to take on any like incredibly young players. I think they need a few more seasons, sort of 26 or 28-year-old players entering the sort of peak who can kind of try and stable the ship at the moment and deliver results. I mean, it's like I said, it's not all doom and gloom for Barcelona. It'll be interesting to see once Fati gets really up to speed how important he can be to that front line. But yeah, certainly a forward, and for me a centre half could have been really useful for Barca this season.
Yeah, I think it's a good shout. I think centre half is definitely an area that they probably should have strengthened better than Eric Garcia, although they were hamstrung by their finances. And Eric Garcia, really not a good start to life at Barcelona, as you say. But Romagnoli, I think he'd be an alright pickup. He's quite slow, is the only thing. And that backline is already looking a little bit leggy with Piqué in there as well. But, maybe it's not the worst shout. Let's move on to another centre-back, which was actually suggested by @Mounier the GOAT, which was Maxence Lacroix. And he basically suggested that Dortmund should have had a look at Lacroix. So Dortmund have had a lot of injuries this season. Obviously, Erling Haaland's currently out. Rayner's been missing. Hummels, Dahoud, Moray have all missed a lot of games. Moray's been out for months and months with a cruciate ligament, I believe. So Akanji has been their only fit centre-back for their entire campaign. Zagadou, yet to feature, still hasn't recovered from that. Was it a knee injury as well? Really nasty knee injury, so best of luck to him in his recovery. Hummels has started 3 games, and Pograkic only 2 as well, who we talked about a few weeks ago. They could have signed, I think, a centre-back this summer. They let Leonardo Ballardi go to Marseille. They made a net £56 million profit, and obviously with COVID, that probably, counters some of the impact of having the Westfalenstadion empty for so long. Pongracic obviously arrived on loan from Wolfsburg. I think that was sort of what they were looking to do in this window, not splurge massive money on centre-backs. But the Croat had only started 18 league games over the previous 2 seasons. And, Meunier the GOAT, and I tend to agree with Meunier the GOAT, thinks they should have gone for his teammate Lacroix. So the 21-year-old signed for Wolfsburg from Sochaux in 2020, who have an incredible youth academy. I was looking at it yesterday when doing some research for this section. In the last 10 years, they've produced Marcus Thuram, Ibrahim Konate, Lacroix, and Jérôme Roussillon as well, who's also at Wolfsburg. So quite 3 top-level defenders, and Marcus Thuram from a club in Ligue 2 who haven't been in Ligue 1 since 2013-14, I believe. That's pretty impressive for Sochaux. But Lacroix looks like a brilliant player. He just recently got sent off. He got a second yellow card against Gladbach at the weekend, so he might miss a game now. But he's made 7 appearances so far this season. Get this, he's won 95% of his tackles, which is incredible. And he's not just making, 1 a game. He's putting in 3.4 tackles and interceptions per 90. So he's pretty on the front foot. His reading of the game seems really strong as well. Not so good in the air so far this season, just a 57% aerial dual win rate, but that's not a disaster. Also completing 5.7 long balls per game, so that's really impressive. So if Dortmund were to be looking at a centre-back in the next couple of years, I think Lacroix is the perfect, Dortmund would be the perfect stepping stone for him before he matures around the sort of 25, 26 age, which is when most centre-backs become, they start really hitting their straps. So yeah, Lacroix, name to keep an eye on. Henry, we've got another name down here in Karim Adeyemi, which was suggested by @MatipIsMagic, and I know that you're a big fan of Adeyemi. You put him in our Champions League Wonder Kids to watch.
Oh yeah, McCubs too, I believe. But yeah, he's this guy's a real talent. He's an incredible player. He's only 19 years old, sensational, 11 goals in 15 games this season. People might say, it's Salzburg, it's the Austrian league, whatever, but it's shown now that it's such an incredible stepping stone for talent. That you have to literally take this seriously, and they're doing well in their Champions League group, aren't they? 4 points after 2 games. He's got 2 goals in the Champions League, both of which came from Lille. They were from the penalty spot, but he's created so much havoc in the matches that I've seen him. He's currently averaging 3 shots and 1.2 key passes in the Champions League, and no surprises that he's top of the Austrian Bundesliga charts too. I'd be amazed to see how many people are lining up to try and sign him. I think he's better than Patson Daka, in my opinion. I know that Daka
had spicy.
I know that Daka obviously had an incredible season with Salzburg last time out. Hasn't quite hit the ground running with Leicester City so far, but Leicester, to be honest, haven't hit the ground running this season, have they? So I think that's just takes the time. But I think he's more talented than Daka, 19 years old as well. It's a really interesting story growing up. I think he had behavioural problems, got kicked out of the Bayern Munich academy, sort of took a different path, and then to get to where he is today. Yeah, huge fan of this. I'm loving the handles, by the way. People sending in Meunier the GOAT, MatipIsMagic. Yeah, some great suggestions coming in there. But yeah, Adeyemi, what a player. I reckon I'm amazed that no one put in like a 20 million euro sort of test the water bid. But I suppose if they were going to sell Daka, they didn't need to sell another player too, having lost their manager as well this season. It looks like the next sort of 30-aged manager they've got through the door knows exactly what he's doing there. So yeah, I love Salzburg. What a well-run club, and yeah, what a great bunch of talented players they have at their disposal.
Yeah, they've just got a conveyor belt of talent coming through, and they just always sell at the right time, etc. And then the next one just comes through, and Adeyemi is just enjoying his time in the spotlight right now. McCubs, let's move on to Denis Zakaria, who's suggested by Jagan0903, who might be on the way to Roma.
Yeah, he's out of contract next summer. Fabrizio Romano and Di Marzio are reporting that Roma are ready to revive their interest in Denis Zakaria. So yeah, I mean, he would be a brilliant signing for them. Obviously, Borussia Mönchengladbach have had a fairly average start to the season, although they've brought it back in the last couple of games, obviously beating Dortmund and Wolfsburg, but they remain 10th in what is a very kind of competitive mid to kind of higher kind of table in the Bundesliga, but they're already 5 points off 4th place, which has been taken up by the surprise package Freiburg at the moment. If you want to hear more about them, we spoke about them on a Continental Club last week. But nevertheless, this is a player who has impressed for quite a while now, and probably wants European football. And if Gladbach are unable to deliver that for him, then I imagine he will be looking for other options. He's only 24 years old, 2 goals and an assist in 5 Bundesliga games so far this year, and that's really impressive considering he was out pretty much all of last season with injury. And he's a player who I think in some ways is, because he's kind of like a bit of a mix between a defensive midfielder and a box-to-box player, and I feel like he's not quite fit the exact billing of what like clubs really need over the last couple of years, or at least top clubs. I remember him being linked with Man United a lot, and
Man City as well.
Yeah, and it's just like, I don't know whether he is exactly that guy, or whether he's been at the level that of maybe other top targets. But to bounce back from injury like this, I think it's pretty impressive. He's averaging over a shot a game. He's averaging around a chance created a game. He's completing 1.6 dribbles, making 2.4 tackles and interceptions, which not like crazy amazing numbers, but very impressive. And when you watch him, he's such a great player to watch. He's a very, very strong midfielder, good tactical intelligence, good passing range. So I think he'd be a really good pickup for a club like Roma. Potentially a step up even on players like Veretout, Cristante, Diawara, or at least at their level, and would give them great depth in midfield. I'm trying to think of other clubs who he'd be a good shout for. Maybe even someone like maybe even Lazio, their rivals. I think their midfield is potentially in need of rejuvenation a little bit in the next 2 years. But yeah, sorry, what were you going to say, Henry?
Well, I know Mourinho definitely wants to get rid of Diawara. He's not interested in him. He tried to push him off to Galatasaray at the end of the window. But I mean, same with Zakaria. I'm stunned that no one went in for Anguissa beyond Napoli. I'd have thought he'd been. I thought he'd be perfect. If they were looking at Xhaka so intently, Anguissa's obviously hit the ground running there. But yeah, Zakaria's probably got a few more defensive attributes than Veretout and Cristante. He wasn't particularly amazing at the Euros, was he, this summer for Switzerland? Didn't get much sort of starts in the tournament. But yeah, I feel like his profile's dropped a little bit in the last 6 months, but he would be a really sort of excellent player if he could go to a sort of Roma level side.
Yeah, pre-injury he's being linked with everyone, wasn't he? And he's just slowly easing his way back in. But yeah, I think Roma is probably the right level for him right now. The next one was suggested by Menez18. No surprise, it was about AC Milan. And he said Josip Ilicic. So basically, situation at AC Milan is obviously Brahim Diaz is excelling beyond all belief as a number 10 in Pioli's very rigid 4-2-3-1 formation. As in, it's a fluid 4-2-3-1. What I mean is he's very stuck on playing 4-2-3-1. But the depth for number 10s behind him, now Calhanoglu's gone to Inter, isn't actually that great. They've got Radi Krunic, who never really gets a look in. They've got Daniel Maldini, who can also play there. They also don't have much depth on the right-hand side behind Salamakers, who has taken a monster leap this year. I think he looks brilliant so far. Castillejo is their only out-and-out right winger. They obviously could play Ante Rebic there, but he's probably better off the left. So yeah, maybe a little bit short for a number 10 / someone who can play on the right, and Josip Ilicic probably fits that mould pretty well. Menez certainly believes that Milan should have gone for him, although someone then replied to his tweet sort of laughing. So it's clearly divisive in Serie A about whether Ilicic is the man to go for. He's played a kind of bit part role so far this season, Ilicic. It's a bit strange, really. 2 assists in 7 games, just 2 starts under Gasperini. He's obviously incredibly old now, Ilicic, so if it was a short-term deal, maybe it wouldn't be the worst shout. I feel like I'm being a bit harsh to him there, but he has been a phenomenal player, but he is just very old now. So yeah, maybe he wouldn't have been the worst pickup for AC Milan, although I don't think they'll be regretting that too much. I can't remember what happened to, what was his name? Mate. Mate, they got him on loan from Torino for the back. Was it Torino back end of last year? And now I think he's gone to Benfica. He wasn't particularly impressive there. Anyway, a couple of other stars to mention. I don't mean to shove you under the bus, Henry, because you might not have seen this guy. I certainly haven't. But Moses Simon, the Nantes left winger, has had a great start to the year.
Oh yes, Moses Simon. What? No, he's a good. I'm joking. I love Ligue 1. He's a good player. 1 goal, 5 assists in 9 games. That's pretty. Nantes are historically quite sort of a defence-first club, so I mean that is sort of a step in the right direction. He's created the 3rd most chances in Europe's top 5 leagues, behind Fekir and Berger as well. So that's not pretty good company to be involved in. It's another one, non-selling club when the money's right. I'm amazed that no one's really looked at him this year, but one for the future, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Everyone tell us more about Moses Simon in the comments below. And Bourigeau, who I'd never heard of as well, but super creative this year. This mystery, I assume, Frenchman. So let us know your thoughts in the comments down below about Bourigeau as well. Final player to mention who's had an exceptional start to the year, Lukas Hradecky as well, the Bayer Leverkusen goalkeeper. He's 31, so he probably wouldn't be in line for a massive club, but maybe Inter Milan could have picked him up. I know they're going to sign Andre Onana in January now, which is probably a good move. Kasama Handanovic is probably the biggest weakness in their squad now, but he's been exceptional so far for Leverkusen. Saved 3.9 expected goals in 7 games, which is the 2nd best record in Europe behind Granada's keeper, who'd only played, I think Granada's keeper had played like 3 games. I was looking on FBref, which is what we use for a lot of our stats. I was looking on that. Granada's keeper had played something like 4 games and saved 5 expected goals. It was absolutely bizarre. So, yeah, go check out Granada's keeper. Shout out Lukas Hradecky. And guys, what do you guys think of our shouts for players your club should have signed this summer? Do you like our shout of Tammy Abraham at Juventus? Do you like our shout of Alexandre Lacazette at Barcelona? Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. And let's move on to our quickfire questions. Okay, we're doing 2 quickfire questions this week because we're not doing a big match preview because it's only the preview of the UEFA Nations League final. The second semi-final takes place tonight between France and Belgium. Best of luck to those 2 teams. But anyway, let's do 2 quickfire questions instead. The first one comes in from Aya Manchuahan, and it's: is Benzema overperforming, or has his ability always been hidden behind his compatriots? It's a great question because Benzema has been exceptional at the start of this year, McCubs. I mean, what's your verdict on this?
I mean, he is overperforming right now. If you look at the metrics and everything, I mean, 9 goals and 7 assists in 8 La Liga games. I mean, that's just ridiculous, isn't it? I think he's contributing to a goal every 44 minutes, which is just like, I mean, that's better than Messi, Ronaldo at their peak levels. He really is on outrageous form, but equally, he's got players around him are in really good form as well. Players like Vinicius, who's been excellent and whatnot. I think that everything he's hitting is going in, or every pass that he's hitting is then going in off whoever's scoring it. So I think he's massively overperforming when you look at like expected goals and whatnot. But equally, I think he deserves this kind of form. He's been the main man at Real for the last 3 seasons. And I mean, I don't know when we're saying like hidden behind his compatriots, does that mean like other French players? Like, I mean,
I think they mean Ronaldo and Bale and other people players getting headlines. Yeah.
Oh right, yeah. I mean, no, I don't think he has. He's been clearly Real Madrid's best player. I think he is the best attacker in La Liga, quite clearly, even at his age. You just have to. Yeah. You just have to have watched him over the last 3 years, and he's, he really is capable of magic. Which is what we just didn't see that from him before, because he was unselfishly playing second fiddle to Ronaldo and was, providing for him and everything, and making those runs, doing the dirty work and whatnot, and not taking the spotlight. But now he's now he has taken the spotlight. There's no doubt about it. Like, I mean, he's absolutely world class.
Yeah, he's absolutely brilliant. Henry, a little bit of a random... Well, it's not random per se. You're making your Dream 11. You got your number 9 slot. Who are you putting in there? Is it Lewandowski? Is it Benzema? What are you thinking?
Oh dear. Yeah, I mean, I it's hard to look past Lewandowski, but I do think what Benzema brings is a general link-up play. I mean, I'm a big fan of sort of that sort of one-touch layoff centre forwards, and I just think he's super. But I mean, I second everything that McCubs said. I think he's just truly brilliant. footballer. I think he showed that when he came back for France recently, just how effective he could be. Some of his first touches, which lead to a goal, are just outrageous.
Like that goal in the Euros.
Yeah, exactly, in the Euros. Even one the other day, he controlled it with his back. I'm not sure how much he knew about it, but he's just I think he's a super talented footballer, and he's someone that I've grown to appreciate more and more with everything that he's putting together each year, and he's so fundamental and important to that Real Madrid side. By far and wide the best player in their team, and yeah, it's just I'm glad that he's really getting the attention he deserves, because if he didn't live in the shadow of some other players, maybe if he hadn't had that kind of scandal with French football, we could be talking about one of the genuine all-time greats. But his goal-scoring record for Real Madrid speaks for itself. He's going to go down in the history books there, and it's fully deserved.
Yeah, and in the Champions League now, what is he, the 4th all-time top goal scorer, I think? Yeah. I think it's only Lewandowski, Messi and Ronaldo ahead of him. I think in terms of goal scorer, I'd probably go Lewandowski, but all-round footballer, I think it's Benzema, quite clearly, to be honest. I think he's got more to his game than Lewandowski. Lewandowski's just that ultimate sort of penalty box. Well, he does actually, he's got pretty much everything, Lewandowski, as well. It's a really tough call. Lewandowski's got this most insane, like, velvet touch. He can bring a ball down from anywhere. Benzema, I think pulling left into that left-hand channel, the sort of finishes we used to see Aubameyang regularly tuck away a couple of years ago, that's Benzema's bread and butter. But 2 phenomenal players. Let us know in the comments down below, why Benzema or why Lewandowski? We seem, pretty torn. Anyway, next quickfire question is from Mounier the Goat, and it's favourite team to watch so far this season. Now, Henry, McCubs kicked off the last quickfire question. Who have you enjoyed watching?
All right, well, you know what? Last week in the comments, people wanted us to talk about Lyon over in France. They're second at the moment in Ligue 1, absolutely sort of crushing it. Take tons of shots, 13.9 per game. It's a real surprise package in Europe this season, just in their team. It's a massive team effort as well. No one's scored more than 3 goals, but Seko Fofana, known about him for a while. He's a good player. He's definitely going to be one to watch in the coming years. Yeah, Lyon deserves a huge amount of credit for what they've been putting together this season. I'm loving Bayer Leverkusen though. I think they're brilliant. Second in the Bundesliga. I mean, Bundesliga always is great fun to watch. Dortmund as well, creating tons of chances. But Leverkusen, under the new manager Gerardo Sione, he's without changing too much, has sort of elevated the squad. We're seeing Patrick Schick on 6 goals already this campaign. He sort of continued that summer form, hasn't he? Florian Wirtz looks outrageously good. I think
unreal.
He's going to be. Whenever I hate talking about players like whenever he does move, because Bayer Leverkusen is a great club. But when one day the finances are restored and someone comes in for him, they're going to command a serious price. But 4 goals and 5 assists already. I know Dukes, you're a massive fan of Moussa Diaby as well. Yeah. But yeah, they made some smart little additions. Mitchell Bakker in at left back. He's proven pretty efficient, but like I said, it hasn't changed a whole lot. But they just really feel like an elevated side at the moment. That Celtic game in the Europa League was very sort of end to end and all action, and that's what you want to see. I'm hoping Bayer Leverkusen can sort of go deep in a competition this year, Bundesliga, whether it be DFB Pokal. I'd like to see them sort of fulfill on this potential, because they do have a wonderful squad.
Yeah, they've got a bit more experience as well, going a bit deeper into the Bundesliga. I mean, they were winning until, or top of it at Christmas, I think, last year, or at least close up to Christmas. And then they lost that quite dramatic game against Bayern Munich, I seem to remember, where Jonathan Tah and I think Radetzky made a pretty bad error. And then they sort of fell off slightly towards the back end of last season. McCubs, which other teams have you enjoyed watching?
I think Marseille we have to give a shout out to, don't we? They've definitely been, just kind of classic Georges Sampaoli, just chaos. Which has just been great to watch, hasn't it? And I think just the integration of so many new players into that side as well, and seeing Dimitri Payet as a false 9 has been really fun. Players like Cengiz Ünder, who struggled the last couple of years, but he looked really bright, didn't he, in those early weeks? Someone like Conrad De La Fuente, who I'd never really watched before, looks really good on the left for them. I think Marseille have probably been the team I've had most fun watching, but I think also Leverkusen, I've really enjoyed watching them.
Fair enough. Yeah, I'm fully aboard the Napoli train, to be honest. I'm annoyed. I went back and watched our Euro Football Daily predictions video just to see what we all said. And me, McCubs, and I think it was Henry was away, so we got Zach Lowy on. And we all said, it was before Ronaldo's departure, I think we all said Juventus are probably the favourites for this year. But I did say, Napoli are potential, well, not really a dark horse because they've been second and third under Sarri beforehand. But I was just like, I think Napoli could do something. I wish I'd gone stronger for it and just gone, Napoli can win the league, because I really do think they can, to be totally honest. I think Inter probably going to come unstuck at some... Not come unstuck, but I think Dzeko's now scoring at a phenomenal rate, but he hasn't done that for the last few years, and that might slightly slip at points. Juventus seem to have their issues. AC Milan might not have the depth in certain areas, although that has probably improved with the arrival of Olivier Giroud. So I think Napoli, with a settled side, some really star forwards, could do some damage towards, throughout the entire season. What a story it would be after Maradona passing away last year, for the Diego Armando Maradona in the first full year since his untimely death, for Napoli to win the league for the first time in, I think, since about 1990. Yeah, since he was there. So yeah, I'm fully on board with Napoli. Fabian Ruiz, Zielinski, Lozano, Mertens hasn't really played that much as well. Victor Osimhen's just gone for new levels. So yeah, Napoli for me. I think I'm loving watching Napoli at the moment. But guys, that is all we've got time for on Continental Club for this week. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Our discussions of players your club should have signed. I'll talk about what else did we talk about? Teams we've loved watching. I'll talk about Benzema, etc. Let us know all your thoughts in the comments down below. We do try and reply to every comment that is, up for discussion, etc. And Henry, what should they go and watch now?
I think
I know you've been out of the loop.
No. I think you and I have a co-production scout report coming out on
Yes.
Brentford. Really enjoyed writing about them, actually. Sort of, everyone remembers them being a really attacking side, but it's actually their defence that I found super impressive. Dougie and I wrote that together. I think it's coming out yesterday when you're watching this. So yeah, get on board on that.
Yeah, Henry did the defence, I did the attack, and they're a really interesting team to write about. Phenomenal. Most shots from inside the 6-yard box in the Premier League, which is really quite impressive. More than Pep Guardiola's Man City, which I thought was the most notable stat. Anyway, McCubs, anything from you?
Go to Football Daily and watch our explainer on why football agents make so much money.
Money. It's all about the money.
It is all about the money.
As today has proved more than most days in football, it is all about the money. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a great weekend. We'll catch you next time. Bye.